नमस्ते बच्चों, हमेशा खुश रहो बच्चों। माई सेल्फ ओम प्रकाश, फैकल्टी ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ मैथमेटिक्स अंडर फैकल्टी ऑफ एजुकेशन एंड मैथोलॉजी. टुडे आई एम गोइंग टू डिलीवर lecture on complex analysis, under which the topic name is conformal mapping. These are the relation planning. These are the steps for planning a relation. These are the components of a relation plan. Now, I am going to prove some more theorem on conformal mapping, which are the subject of complex analysis, and this subject is taught in BSc B.Ed PCM 8 semester student. In your last class, we see that the necessary condition for W equals to F Z to be represent a conformal map. And today I'm going to prove a theorem on the necessary condition. In your last class, we have proved the sufficient condition for a complex valued function to represent a conformal mapping. And right now I'm going to prove the necessary condition for W equals to F of Z to represent a conformal mapping. These are the second theorem of conformal mapping. So the first theorem is necessary part, and second theorem is the sufficient. Sorry, the first theorem is sufficient part, and second theorem is the necessary part. If W equals to F of Z represents a conformal transformation of a domain D, if omega equals to F of Z represents a conformal transformation of a domain D in the Z plane into a domain D of the omega plane. F of Z equals to is in domain D and T of omega plane. Then F of Z is an analytic function of Z in D. That means if omega equals to F of Z represents a conformal transformation of a domain D in the Z plane into a domain D of the omega plane, then F of Z is an analytic function of Z in the domain D. For this, we already know that u plus iv equals to u of xy plus iv of xy, so that u equals to u of xy and v equals to v of xy, because this will find by comparing real and imaginary part. Let ds and d sigma denotes the elementary arc length in the z plane and omega plane respectively. In the z plane and omega plane respectively. Then figure must be same as the in the sufficient part. Then we have by total derivative ds square equals to dx square plus dy square, and d sigma square equals to du square plus dv square. Now du equals to del u by del x into dx plus del u by del y into dy. This comes from total derivative of calculus. And dv equals to del v by del x into dx and del v by del y into dy, because u is a function of xy and v is also a function of xy. That's why this will happen. Similarly, d sigma square is equals to del u by del x dx plus del u by del y dy plus ka whole square plus del v by del x, sorry, del v by del x dx plus del v by del y dy whole square. And let it be del sigma d sigma square equals to e dx square plus twice f dx dy plus twice dy square. That means here we can taking squaring both sides, sorry, taking the square, breaking this bracket into square, a plus b whole square is equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab. Similarly this one, and combining the term dx square dy square and dx dy in same form, then we got d sigma square equals to e dx square plus twice f dx dy plus g dy square. where E equals to del u by del x का whole square plus del u by del x का whole square. F equals to del u by del x into del u by del y plus del v by del x into del v by del y, and G equals to del u by del y का whole square plus del u v by del y का whole square. Now d sigma versus ds is independent of direction. If E by 1 equals to F by 0 equals to G by 1 equals to h squares, and this will comes by equating of two equations where h depends on x and y only and is not zero. Thus, the condition for an isogonal transformations are becomes the putting the value of EFG in the above equation. We got del u by del x the whole square plus del u by del x का whole square equals to h square equals to del u by del y का whole square plus del v by del y का whole square. Let it be equation 1, and next one is the when we comparing g raised to 1 equals to h square, then we have del u by del x into del u by del y plus del v by del x into del v by del y equals to 0. The equation 1 are satisfied if we set del u by del x equals to h cos alpha, del v by del x equal to h sin alpha, del u by del y equals to h cos beta, and del v by del y equals to h sin beta. Substituting this value in equation 1 and 2, we have by simplification h square cos alpha into cos beta plus sin alpha into sin beta equals to 0, which implies that cos alpha minus beta equals to 0, which implies that alpha minus beta equals to plus minus pi by 2. Since h is not equal to 0, that's why it will happen. Therefore, we can say that by taking alpha minus beta equals to pi by 2, that is alpha equals to beta plus pi by 2, then we have del u by del x equals to h cos pi by 2 plus beta, which is equals to minus h sin beta. Similarly, the value of del u by del x equals to h sin pi by 2 plus beta is equals to h cos beta. That means we are converting these two equations into beta. Now, finally we got similarly del u by del y equals to h cos beta and del v by del y equals to h sin beta. Hence, del u by del x equals to minus del v by del y into and del v by del x equals to del u by del y, which is a CR equation. That means Cauchy-Riemann equation. Similarly, taking beta minus alpha, alpha minus beta equals to minus pi by 2. That is alpha equals to beta minus pi by 2. Then we shall have the same result. That means del u by del x equal to del v by del y and del v by del x equals to minus del u by del y, which are the CR equation. That means equation 3 and 4 both are CR equation. This implies that our function are in an analytic function. Our function are an analytic function in omega plane, and hence the our transform omega equals to f of z is a conformal, then f of z must be an analytic function of z. This session powered by the digital version 2.0 Jyoti Vidyapith Women's University, and I hope all of you are satisfied with my this digital session. If you have any queries, please mention in the comment box. I will try to solve it. Thank you for watching my lecture video.